Hi, welcome back to the Trust Your Worth podcast, the podcast that helps you tap in to the power of knowing your worth. My name is Brittany, and thank you so much for joining me today. How's it going? What's going on? Hope you're happy. And if you need a little uplift, I'm here to uplift you and hopefully help you today, especially as we're talking about emotions. But before we get into that, last week I talked about decentering romantic relationships, which, even if you're in a romantic relationship, there might be some useful things in there for you. So if you want to check out that episode, that was season 3, episode 15. Today, we are talking about emotions and being able to regulate your reactions to emotions, because I've been thinking about it a lot and I've just learned some things and I wanted to share them with you. And I think that when we're able to express our emotions like kind of safely, if that makes sense, then I think that's going to be helpful to everyone, but especially yourself. And maybe you never learned how to express your emotions, so hopefully this can help you in that release of emotions and understanding what your emotions are trying to tell you. Okay, so let's get into it on today's episode. So the reason I have been thinking a lot about this, I've been reading a book called The Will to Change by Bell Hooks. I'm not quite done, and I honestly think I might do a full episode on it because it's freaking amazing. But it's about patriarchy, especially at the beginning of the book, and how patriarchy teaches men that the only safe and accepted way to express their emotions is with violence, that they will be accepted by society if they express their anger specifically with violence. But as I've been reading the book, I gained this new understanding that men were literally taught from a young age to not express their emotions, to suppress. And so, or they just were not taught the tools that they needed in order to express their emotions without lashing out, without doing it physically with violence. So, like, if we look at, I've literally seen so many reels of dudes when their sport teams lose and they just break a full TV. That is violent. They throw something across the room. Again, a violent gesture. And it's just accepted that that happens. And it bothers me so much that the majority of society sees this as okay, and it's actually terrifying. And I'm just very saddened that men weren't able to express themselves freely, so they learned very quickly, especially in a young age and especially socially, that any type of feminine emotion, or they were sensitive or kind or thoughtful, or just didn't want to commit acts of violence, as in, i.e. breaking punching holes in walls or throwing things or pushing other people around. If they were not willing to do those things, then they were immediately ostracized by their peers specifically. There's an example that Belle gives in the book about this young boy who plays with Barbies, and it's his favorite thing to do. And when his friends come over and he's trying to share with them, hey, let's play with my Barbies, they're so fun. And immediately they start making fun of him. And he knew then that he could never play with his Barbies again, even though it was something he did often and he was happy to do so. And because they thought that that was dangerous, that heaven forbid, a male child play with a female toy, a Barbie. But it just seems nonsensical to me. And this poor boy, again, was socialized into, if he wanted to be accepted, then he had to, again, suppress his emotions. And it's just this awful, awful cycle that now that I've seen it, I was devastated. And I know quite a few people in my life who never had the tools to express their emotions, so it has come out in anger, and it's a scary time. And I feel like if they were to learn the tools to be able to express their emotions, that's why I want to say, like, use the word safely or like in a positive way, then if you're able to do that, then that anger doesn't have to come out in hurtful ways. So like that's kind of what this episode is for, is to hopefully give you some tools that will help you to express your emotions when they come up, because emotions aren't negative per se. Like anger, we see it as a very negative emotion, but it's literally just a signal to tell you that something is wrong. And most times it's telling you that you are being hurt in some way. So when you get angry, it's more like the emotion of anger comes out because you feel afraid, you're experiencing hurt of some sort, you feel disrespected, and that there is a lack of understanding from someone else or something else. And the emotion was just there to tell you that something is wrong. It's like pain in general. Like if you put your hand on a hot stove and you didn't feel that hurt, the pain from your hand literally burning, then you wouldn't remove your hand, and then your hand would just burn up, and you would never know that, like, oh, something's wrong. We probably shouldn't do this. So emotions, they're not necessarily negative to have. There's nothing shameful about having emotions. They're literally automatic consequences of something that is happening to you. And they're just trying to tell you, like, oh, something's out of equilibrium. So what is the emotion trying to tell me? And how am I going to react to it? And if you don't have the tools to figure out like what that emotion is telling you, then of course it's going to come out in not great ways. So let me just talk about emotions a little bit from this post, because I think it helps us to see that emotions are just trying to tell us something. They're not necessarily bad. They're more signals, and there's nothing shameful about having emotions. I'm going to again put this in the show notes, and also just like please do your own research too. Like I'm not a professional, I just found these things helpful. So if you really are struggling with learning how to express your emotions or like process your emotions, then please seek professional help. Like find a therapist, someone who knows what they're really doing. I just hope that these insights might be helpful for you too. But if you do need that extra help, please seek it out. Okay, so this is from Emmylou Seaman, and she's talking about how to feel your feelings and self-regulate. So I like what she says. Every emotion has a message and a purpose. And that's essentially what I'm trying to say, is that like emotions are really just signals trying to tell you like, hey, maybe something's not right and we need to figure out what it is before we cause pain or we feel pain ourselves. Okay, so every emotion has a message. So anger shows you that someone has crossed your boundaries. Fear protects you from the unknown danger, but can also stop you from growing. So anxiety says you're living in the future and you need to come back to the present. So if you're anxious, you're really scared about a future, something that hasn't happened yet. Sadness says you've lost something important and it's telling you to honor the loss. Guilt says your recent actions didn't align with your personal values. Resentment shows you where you are saying yes when you really mean no. So we can see here that every emotion is trying to tell us something specifically. And once you know what it's trying to tell you, it's going to be a lot easier to navigate your emotions. But I also saw something, I'm going to see if I can find that again, but it literally said if you sat down and processed your emotions, it would take about 6 minutes to fully get through that full feeling you're trying to feel. But if you don't process it, then it can literally just hinder you or get worse or bigger for long periods, like days even. Like it can be that bad if you try and suppress them. So I just want to stress the importance of not suppressing them and letting them out, but again, in healthy, safe ways, because we don't want to hurt yourself or others in the process of just trying to do a very naturally human thing, which is feel your emotions. So I'm going to put both in here, but lots of these things that I found are the same, but I'm going to choose a simpler one that I found. There is a feelings wheel. I'm going to put a link to that too, because if you don't have the vocabulary to kind of express what you're feeling, if you've never been taught it, there's nothing wrong with that. Then hopefully the feelings wheel can help you to navigate through that. And I'm not going to go through the whole feelings wheel, but I'm just going to link the resource so that you can have it if you feel like you want to dig a little deeper into that. So the next one is from Brown Girl Trauma, and it's how to actually process your emotions when no one taught you how. So I like that she's giving us this caveat because, yeah, I feel like I wasn't really taught how to express my emotions. I grew up suppressing them, especially if you're a people pleaser too, like myself. Resentment comes up a lot for people pleasers because you want to say no, but you just keep saying yes. So that is an emotion that I felt lots and had to learn how to process it and not feel guilty about saying no. Okay, the first thing you have to do is to pause. So when emotions hit, our bodies want to react fast. So pausing helps you to interrupt that spiral. So you hear a lot about box breathing. So an in for 4 and then an out for 4 to help you calm your nervous system down to regulate yourself so you don't react, I want to say in anger, but so you don't react quickly. You can understand what you're actually feeling and then like try and figure out what that emotion is telling you. So yeah, pause, take a breath, then say to yourself, I notice ... So I notice that my shoulders are feeling kind of really tense. I notice that my fists are balled and I want to punch something. So you don't need to fix anything in this moment. You just need to notice what's happening. Her name is Nisha, who wrote this. She says, quote, if pausing feels impossible, practice once a day when calm. For example, while brushing your teeth, pause and say, I notice the taste of the toothpaste. I notice the brush on my gums. So practice in calm moments so that when you're in those amped up moments, you are able to notice what's actually going on because you've been practicing. Practice really helps. So step 2, you want to find the feeling in your body. So emotions don't start in the thoughts, they actually start in the body. So think of it as scanning, where is that emotion living right now? So like I said, my fists are balled up. My anger is like in my fist. But she says to focus on 3 zones, your stomach, your shoulders, or your chest. So for each zone, is it heavier? Is it light? Is it tight or loose? Hot or cold? Numb or neutral? Choose the strongest sensation and place your hand there and breathe into it. So if you're feeling like, I remember when I feel pain, it's in my stomach. Like when I have lost people I've loved or just like feeling emotionally hurt, it's always in my stomach for me. So I would breathe there with my hand on my stomach. Like when you're in that feeling and you're overwhelmed, it will give you something specific you can work with when you're like, okay, I've located it. It's there. It's like right there. And if you're feeling nothing, then you are feeling numb. So name it as numb. And then Nisha says to press your feet into the floor for 10 seconds so you can locate it in your body somewhere. And just I'm feeling numb in my feet right now. If you need help like locating it or none of those areas are working for you, then you can make one. Step 3, you want to name the feeling. So naming emotions helps to reduce their intensity and makes them easier to manage. So I've heard this many times. You name it to tame it. So how do you do it? Start simple. So you could say, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm ashamed, I'm happy. And then expand when you can. So I'm frustrated, I'm lonely, I'm anxious, I'm rejected, I'm proud, I'm relieved. And say it out loud or write it down and I feel, and try to get as specific as you can. And it's okay if you're unsure, like guessing might be involved for a little bit. Like it's a process, so it can take a little more time and that's okay. And if you can't actually name it yet, like that's okay. You can move on to calming your body and then exploring your needs. Like you don't have to specifically name it to keep going in the process. Like you can figure it out as you're going along. So don't feel like any shame or anything. If you can't figure it out right now, eventually you are going to. Okay, step 4. This is the big one. Regulate your emotion. So regulating means helping your nervous system return to its balance. So remember at the beginning when I was like, an emotion just tells us that something is not in its right place, something is out of balance. So we're trying to get back to our balanced, equalized state. And that's why regulating your emotions helps you return to that balance. Okay, so if you're feeling very overwhelmed, like you're at an 8 to 10, you're like, and you're gonna break out right now. Hold ice or splash cold water on your face. Push your palms into a wall for 30 seconds, exhaling as you push. So like hand on a wall, blowing out however you want, even with noise, but pushing as you're exhaling. And then pace breathing. So 4 seconds in, 6 to 8 seconds out for 2 minutes. So that's kind of like your box breathing. So you're going 4 and then out for 6 to 8 seconds. If you're moderately activated, so we're talking 4 out of 7 out of 10. Try the butterfly hug. So cross your arms and tap on your shoulders alternately, slowly. So that's all it is. Just taps on your shoulders. And these might look weird if you're out in public, but if you need to do it, just do it. Nobody cares. Like, if that's what you need and it's going to help you, like, don't be afraid to do it. Walk slowly and count the steps out loud. Box breathing. So this is specifically 4 seconds in, hold for 4 seconds, and 4 seconds out. And then 4 seconds hold. And repeat. So that's if you're moderately activated. And then if you've shut down, like you're absolutely numb, you're like 0 to 3, you just like can't handle absolutely anything right now, do 10 squats or shake out your arms. Look around and name 5 objects in your space that are safe. So I'm looking around. There's my ukulele. My water bottle is safe. There's a blanket that's safe. Read something out loud to re-engage. So maybe you might want to keep something comforting on your phone, like a comforting quote that if you're ever dysregulated, you can just read these words of encouragement. So I can't think of any right now, but something I love that I honestly remember in long, quickly sometimes. You is kind, you is smart, you is important. Love that, because then it reminds me that truthfully, I am kind, I am smart, and I'm important. So something like that, but put it on your phone so all you have to do is just like look at it and like, I'm reading this to help you to regulate that emotion. Okay, and then number 5, ask yourself, what need is this feeling pointing to? So, quote, emotions are messengers. They highlight a need, often one you weren't allowed to have growing up. So, for example, anger means I need respect or space. If you're feeling sadness, I need comfort or support. Fear, I need safety or clarity. Shame, I need acceptance or repair. So how do you do it? Specifically, you write down one sentence. Because I feel the emotion, I likely need, put down the need. Then choose one action you can take within the next 24 hours that moves you closer to meeting that need. So, for example, I'm feeling sad. I likely need a hug. Then I'm going to go find someone to give me a hug. Because I love hugs. Hug your single friends, just a plug. Okay. And if your need depends on someone unsafe or someone who is unavailable, like let's say you got a fight with someone and like you're both dysregulated, but you really want to solve it and you feel like you need to resolve this conflict, but they're not in the space to, so you have to be patient and wait, then I would encourage you to choose a self-sourced version of comfort. So like a weighted blanket or like kind words to yourself. If you need safety, like take a 10-minute wake, like go for a walk. If you need validation, just write what happened in detail in your journal so that you can sort of try to figure out like what happened. and remember like, oh no, I had this feeling because this happened specifically. So there are ways that you can meet the need yourself sometimes. And I love that. So those are the 5 steps to help you emotionally regulate. And I hope these are helpful, and I hope that you put them into practice. I think specifically, I would say do 2 things especially, like be ready, like practice pausing. That's going to be like probably the biggest difference in like harmful reactions. Like if something goes down like and it makes you like immediately angry, if you're able to pause instead of like lash out like right away, because I've said things out of anger quickly and I've been ashamed about them later, or just like even more hurt. I feel bad because I hurt someone else when I didn't have to, like, and when I shouldn't have, and I just like added on to like this already heightened emotion. So pausing, I think, is going to be really important. So just practice pausing throughout your day. That's going to be part of your worth work. And then I think the other thing that will be really helpful is having the self-regulation prepared, like what works for you. So like if that's throwing water in your face, or like pressing the wall, or like, I remember when I was really anxious, what I would do is I would take a breath and then I would squeeze my hands. I'd imagine like whatever the anxiety, I gave it the color pink because it's my favorite color. And as I squeezed, I would imagine like this pink smoke being released out of my hands. So I'd try and push all of the anxiety into my hands, and then I'd squeeze it out of my body just to like feel like I was releasing something. And it didn't always work, but it definitely worked in helping me focus and be able to like calm down a bit and to breathe again. So yeah, just sort of being prepared for like when these strong emotions happen, you have these 2 like kind of steps like ready to go. So you're not like thinking about them, your body just sort of automatically is ready to do them in an unregulated state. And again, we need to do these in our calm states so that they can be effective for us. So I hope this helps. And I hope especially that as you experience emotions, we don't think about emotions as necessarily good or bad. They're just more signals to help us understand what's going on with us and helping us to get back to our balanced state, because regulated people tend to be happier. And that's what I want for you. I want you to be happy and to be successful. And I think if you're able to regulate your emotions, I feel like it's just going to help you to move forward with clarity, and it'll help you to not get stuck as long, and also will help you to get back to your regulated state. And in your regulated state, you should know that you're worthy and that you're enough. And I know in heightened states, we kind of lose our confidence and we forget our worth sometimes when we're in these highly, highly like charged emotional states, and we can just sort of lose ourselves almost in the emotions. So I hope this helps you to remember who you are, your amazing self, and processing your emotions so that you can be happy and regulated and just be successful in the life that you want to make. Okay, so your worth work, as I kind of said a little sooner, but your worth work is going to practice pausing. So throughout your day, just notice things. Just take literally 5 seconds to notice. Like she said, brushing your teeth, I notice the toothpaste. Just take time to notice something. 5 seconds to notice like one thing throughout your day. So you're in the practice of pausing to notice things. And then your second part of your worth work is to figure out what you want to do when you're trying to regulate. So whether that's, again, throwing water on your face, you might not always have water. So maybe it's it's doing the butterfly hug, or like myself, the anxious squeeze out. So practice doing those things to help you regulate yourself, the physical things in step 4. Okay, so that's going to be it for today. Thanks for listening. As always, you can find me at trustyourworth.com or on Instagram and TikTok at Trust Your Worth Podcast. If no one has told you today, you are not your emotions. Emotions just are something that happens. And no matter what emotional state you are in, you are so worthy and you are so loved. And don't forget to trust your worth. All right. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day. Love you. Bye.